Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are exploring a classic narrative, and we're looking at it not just as a tragedy of jealousy, but really as a masterclass in the sheer power of storytelling. The source material for our analysis today comes from Joyita Banerjee's prompt on Shakespeare's absolute masterpiece, Othello. We're going to dig right into this incredible dramatic theme of how words, just simple strings of sentences, have the ultimate power to build the most profound love, or, as we'll see, utterly and completely destroy it.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this quote really perfectly sets the whole theatrical, almost intoxicating mood. So, the gentle Desdemona, this beautiful lady of Venice, she wasn't won over by mere appearances. No way. She had this totally visceral, hungry reaction to the stories Othello told. I mean, just notice the language here. She had a greedy ear to devour his discourse. She was literally starving for these rich, descriptive worlds that Othello painted with his words. The text tells us that whenever she was called away for household chores, she'd rush back, with all haste, just to hear him speak.
Section 1. The Power of Honest Stories. Crafting Love Through Words. And this brilliantly illustrates the man behind those captivating tales. Othello was a valiant Moor, a dark-complexioned nobleman, and of course a highly esteemed general of Venice who had fought in these really bloody wars against the Turks. His genuine, lived experiences were, they were incredibly exotic. Just listen to these sensory details from the source. Othello spoke of vast wildernesses, quarries, and these romantic caverns. He described lofty mountains that literally touched the clouds. He recounted awe-inspiring tales of savage nations, cannibals who were man-eaters, and hair-breadth escapes in the breaches of bloody battles. He even talked about a time he was sold as a slave and how he actually managed to escape. These strange, exotic, thrilling images, that was the absolute foundation of their romance.
But, not everyone saw it as just innocent storytelling. When Desdemona's father, Senator Brabantio, found out about their secret marriage, he was furious. Absolutely livid. He actually dragged Othello before the Duke of Venice and accused him of using dark spells and witchcraft to seduce his daughter. But Othello's defense was just beautifully simple. He explained that the only witchcraft he possessed was the honest art of wooing. He simply told a soft, truthful tale. And his eloquent, totally artless defense was so moving that the Duke himself confessed that a tale like that would have won his own daughter over.
Moving right along to Section 2. Defending their love, a shift from Venice to Cyprus.
So the crucial point is this core contrast right here. After the trial, Othello and Desdemona set sail to defend the island of Cyprus against a Turkish invasion. But when they get there, they find the enemy fleet has already been completely destroyed by a violent tempest. The island is secure, but the real enemy is actually lurking within their own ranks, a bitter elder nobleman named Iago. On one side, we've got Othello's honest arts of wooing, these beautiful, truthful words that literally built a marriage. On the flip side, we have Iago's crafty lies. Iago is this serpentine, destructive weapon. If Othello shows us exactly how words create bonds, Iago is about to show us how those exact same words can be weaponized to tear them apart.
Section 3. Iago's Crafty Trap. Weaponizing Words.
So why did Iago even do it? Well, simply put, he hated Othello for promoting a handsome young soldier named Michael Cassio to lieutenant instead of him. Plus, Iago harbored this totally unjust, baseless suspicion about Othello and his own wife, Aemilia. Driven by pure malice, here is how his trap unfolds step by step. First, under the guise of loyalty, Iago lures Cassio into drinking wine glass after glass during a night of celebration. Second, when a drunk Cassio gets into a scuffle, Iago rings the castle bell, spreading an alarm of a dangerous mutiny. Othello rushes down, demands answers, and strips the disgraced Cassio of his rank. Third, Iago plays the helpful friend, right? He advises Cassio to go beg the gentle Desdemona to mediate for him. And finally, step 4, the real dagger, Iago uses this very dynamic to plant the seed of jealousy in Othello's mind. It is a rapid, ruthless, step-by-step demolition.
When Cassio finally sobers up, he is just utterly crushed. He laments to Iago in sheer panic, crying out, "Reputation, reputation, reputation. Oh, I have lost my reputation." He feels like he's lost the immortal part of himself, and in his utter despair, he blindly follows Iago's crafty advice, genuinely believing Iago to be a true friend. So Cassio approaches Desdemona, asking her to be his solicitor to the general, which essentially sets this fatal trap perfectly in motion.
Section 4. The Poison of Jealousy, the Mind Infected.
Now, Desdemona, being incredibly kind and generous, earnestly pleads with Othello to give Cassio his job back. She's totally unknowingly playing right into Iago's hands here. She even reminds Othello that Cassio helped him during their courtship. But her innocent, persistent pleading for another man is exactly the ammunition Iago needs to infect Othello's mind. This activates the core mechanism of Iago's plot. You see, Iago studied the human mind deeply. He knew that of all the afflictions that torment man, the pain of jealousy is the absolute most unbearable. It carries the sorest sting. Iago didn't even need to attack Othello with a physical sword. He just needed to introduce this psychological poison to bring both the general and his wife to total ruin.
Let's move to and see how this builds with just 4 tiny words. One day, Othello and Iago walk into a room right as Cassio is hurrying out after speaking with Desdemona. Iago, completely full of art, softly mutters to himself, "I like not that." Othello barely notices at first, but bam, the seed is planted. Later on, Iago raises his eyebrow and feigns this big shock when he learns Cassio helped Othello during the courtship. By pretending to hide some dark, terrible secret, Iago's crafted words start to totally warp Othello's reality. He's turning perfectly innocent interactions into rock-solid evidence of deep betrayal.
Section 5. A tragic final act. The physical toll of lies. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Othello's mind becomes completely broken by this entirely untrue suspicion of infidelity. The noble, valiant Moor who once charmed all of Venice with his eloquence is reduced to weeping, claiming his heart is broken. Meanwhile, a completely stupefied, totally innocent Desdemona cannot understand her husband's sudden rage. Confused and exhausted, a heavy, weight-like sleep comes over her, and she innocently asks her attendant to lay her wedding sheets upon her bed. As Othello enters her bedroom, full of dark purpose, he isn't just angry, he is physically unraveling. He kisses her sleeping form, weeping cruel tears. And when she wakes, she sees him. The text says, he gnawed his lips and rolled his eyes. It's this terrifying, visceral manifestation of emotional torment. The crafty lies of Iago have transformed Othello's noble bearing into a fatal, monstrous state. And Desdemona immediately knows, this look means death.
The end comes so swiftly and horrifyingly. Desdemona awakens and desperately begs for mercy, but an unhearing Othello refuses to listen to her defense, stifling the guiltless lady right there in her bed. And almost immediately after the fatal act, the truth comes out. Letters found in the pocket of a dead man, an assassin that Iago had actually hired and then killed to cover his tracks, completely expose Iago's crafty lies and prove Cassio's absolute innocence. It hits Othello like a thunderstroke. Realizing the sheer magnitude of his deadly, irreversible mistake, life just becomes intolerable. The once great general throws himself upon the lifeless body of his wife and falls upon his own sword.
It is just a devastating conclusion. Othello bore a fair reputation. He was a doting, loving husband, right up until he was wrought upon by the arts of a villain. As the text reflects so perfectly, he had loved Desdemona not wisely, but too well. His tragic fall from a revered general and tender lover to a murderer wasn't brought about by some invading army. It was entirely orchestrated by a crafted, fictional narrative that was designed to prey right on his insecurities. Which leaves us with a final, lingering thought for this explainer. If honest stories, tales of lofty mountains, touching clouds, and hair-breadth escapes, have the magical power to create profound, binding love out of thin air, how terrifyingly easy is it for crafty, weaponized words to tear it all down? It's a heavy testament to the sheer weight of what we say and the stories we choose to believe. Thank you so much for diving into this fascinating source material and learning with me today. Keep questioning the stories you hear, and I'll see you next time.